And now, the time fight fans all across the globe have been waiting for. It's the MTMV main card with your man, The Voice, and as always, in the opposite corner, my mano y mano, my verbal sparring partner, who's literally trying to be the reverse Flash today because he got on red with black line and I got on black with red line. Woo, let's not do that anymore.
Yeah, see, look, you the Bruce Leroy glow was coming up on you.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's your man Wildris. It's smoke o'clock. You already know what time it is. MTMV Sports, the main card. Voice, how you feeling, sir?
Oh man, I am feeling wonderful. It's smoke o'clock. How else am I supposed to feel but excited, rejuvenated, invigorated, and some other 80s?
Yeah, you use a lot of dictionary words there. We got a great show today, actually. It's a lot of championship implication bouts here, a possible retirement bout. So let's just go ahead and get into it. KOs and low blows.
Let's get it.
All right. Now, Bellator just announced 2 world title bouts. As Pettis is going to be facing Pitbull for the Bantamweight World Championship, and Nemkov is going to be facing Ramirez for the Light Heavyweight World Title. That's going to take place in June in Chicago. Now, for Pitbull, this is literally going to be his 3rd division, I believe, and going for a championship. Voice, what are your thoughts on this already stacked card coming up?
For Nemkov, it should be wonderful. I have attended Bellator events there at the Wintrust, formerly the Allstate Arena, I believe, in Rosemont, Illinois. I can say this, Nemkov being a Fedor disciple, the Russians are going to be there. I remember going and pulling up on the parking lot and feeling like I was in some low-budget gangster movie. I mean, they had the tracksuits and everything. I was like, oh, shoot, okay. All right, Russia has come out. And Fedor wasn't even fighting. So Nemkov, they're definitely going to be there for him. And then you've got Yoel Romero in his first title fight since leaving the UFC. You know, and this is a big spot for him. This is really go big or go home for him. You know, is he really the guy who we thought that he was? Or is he the guy now that we've seen over the past couple of years? We'll find out. But most importantly, like you said, Pitbull is going for a title in his 3rd division. This is historic for Bellator. The only person I can think of that's done this before would be the soon-to-be Hall of Famer Frankie Edgar, who was a lightweight champion in the UFC and vied for both the featherweight and the bantamweight titles. Pitbull will be distinct because if he's able to win all 3, then yeah, that's something no one has ever done before. So this is really historic in the sense of a major organization and someone doing this. But what makes this even more interesting to me is that he's fighting for the bantamweight title. Well, it's the bantamweight title that makes it interesting, but it's how everything shook out because the bantamweight Grand Prix is going on. The finals for that is like next month or so with Stotts and Patchy Mix. The winner of that fight is supposed to be fighting for the undisputed title versus Pettis, not Pitbull. So the fact that Bellator, because Bellator is definitely more meritocratic than the UFC is, but the fact that they would say, you know what, this is big time, let's throw this in here, let's do it, really makes me excited. It's like, okay, they get it. They're saying, let's make the biggest fight that we possibly can. And what bigger fight than this fight? I love it.
It's definitely historic. So I wanted to know before we move on to our next subject here, if Pitbull comes out of this victorious, who is another fighter in Bellator you can see following in his footsteps and doing the same?
That's really hard because Pitbull has been the face of Bellator like forever. Forever. It was him and Chandler for quite some time, and then when Chandler moved on, He, holds nearly every record that there is to hold in Bellator. The only person that I can think of that could possibly come in his footsteps and do the kinds of things that he's doing is someone that he doesn't like very much. It's someone that they're all tied up when it comes to their fights against each other, and that's AJ McKee.
Oh, okay.
The mercenary at his age and with his skill and ability. Yeah, if anyone could kind of carry that mantle of being a multi-division champion, and doing it with flair and pizzazz and being the face of the company, breaking those records, AJ, right now, that would be the one.
Good thought. Now, boys, for $84.99, I could buy a lot of things. I can get a crisp pair of Air Force Ones. I can go get some groceries. I can put some gas in my tank. I can't say I can take a date out because inflation and eggs and everything. But the one thing I don't know if I want to do is buy the Garcia Davis fight, which according to Eddie Hearn is going to be priced at $84.99. Now, we've talked about this previously. Neither Garcia or Davis have been major pay-per-view fighters as far as buys are concerned. What are your thoughts on this, and how do you think this is going to play out in the buys with when those numbers eventually come out?
You mentioned something that's very important and is a major factor in the price of this fight, and that's inflation. That is a reason why this fight is as much as it is. You're right. Neither has been a pay-per-view draw, but tell me of all the fights that are being proposed for this year, what fight do you want to see more than Tank and Ryan?
I mean, I personally could see any Devin Haney fight, because I know everyone who's scheduled to fight him would be a great fight. But you might be right. It's two big names. It sounds like it's more social than for the boxing aficionado, because nobody's really like, oh, I'm so excited to see this because this is going to have such great implications.
Now for the implication, no, you're right on that. The implication standpoint, it doesn't have the implications. I mean, you literally have two people who, let's face it, are beltless, that are fighting for the opportunity to fight somebody with the belt.
Right.
However, from a and you said it, the social standpoint is it, and that's really what drives boxing. It's not the hardcores. The hardcores keep it alive. The hardcores are gonna plunk down. Well, some of the hardcores are gonna plunk down the money for Caleb Plant and David Benavidez last week. But it's the casuals that really drive the company. I mean, or I should say that drive the industry. It's when those casuals come in and they pay their money that everyone wins. And I believe that that it is going to be a win. Is it a lot? Yeah. But I was saying the same thing when Wilder and Fury fought the first time. It's like, I'm not spending I think it was like $70 at that time. I'm not spending $70 for this fight. And then it was one of the fights of the decade. And did I pay for 2 and 3? Yes, I did, gladly. So with everything behind this one, I don't think that it's going to be as much as some people are making it out to be.
Awesome. Boys, I'm gonna check with the big boss, and I'm gonna see if that's gonna be an MT write-off for you, because we got to make sure you if you're not at the fight, you got to be at the fight. So we'll double check that for you. So
yeah, I'm doing my taxes this week. There's a whole bunch of stuff I need to be factoring in. Thank you.
So when we come back from break, Bellator 293, we got some great bouts on there. The WBO championship, one of the WBO championships, is actually going to be on the line. Also, when we talk about the featherweight title, and Anthony Joshua, could the O2 Arena be his final walk? Be right back with a quick break from Moselle.
It's not just about the love of the game. It's about dedication and commitment through the process and the patience to endure. There's joy in reaching your goals and peace in knowing you've done all you're supposed to do. Ozell brand. It's not just a brand, it's a lifestyle.
And welcome back. Voice, what's up with the Moselles, man? I know you've been out here and your voice Leroy glow. You got another story for it?
I've been out here killing them. I wore them Sunday. And I got some compliments on them, and I may have had a favorable eye as far as the whole outfit, and I'm sure that the Ozells didn't hurt. Also doesn't hurt that I had these rugged good looks, but
they was probably feeling bad for you because ain't no St. Louis teams right now doing any good. But we're gonna move on from that. We're not worried about that.
So City is not undefeated. The Battlehawks are not doing their thing. The Cardinals are not tearing up spring training. Okay.
Nah, y'all struggling right now.
Okay.
Unlike Bellator 293. Now, Bellator 293 is going to be a great event. Now, when Leah McCourt faces Kat Zingano in the co-main event of Bellator 293, it won't just be for positioning for a future featherweight title shot, but it'll also be for what McCourt calls the biggest opportunity of her career. Now, the 7-2 McCourt bounced back from a unanimous decision loss at Bellator 275, which was her first actually since the 2017 loss, 2017 that she had with Dana Silva. Now, this is going to be setting up a meeting with the 40-year-old Zingano. Now, for Kat, a win here would definitely set up a title bout against current featherweight champion Chris Cyborg. Now, I want you to remember this. This is something that McCourt is not only aware of, and she greatly respects. She recently stated, Kat is someone that I respect hugely, and I've been aware of since I started watching MMA. She's one of the original pioneers of the sport alongside Ronda Rousey and Miesha Tate, and she's fought for UFC titles and has won over current Bellator champions. She said, despite her wealth of experience, it's a great opportunity for her to put her skill set to the test and prove she belongs amongst the elite for a world title shot. Now, here's the issue, Voice. We don't know if the champion's going to be here or not. Currently, Chris Cyborg, according to Scott Coker, we don't know if she's going to be here because I believe that she actually has up until August to make that decision. So I want to get your thoughts on McCourt's statements about coming in and proving that she belongs with the elite, and what's going to happen for the winner here who's literally expecting a title fight to come out of this.
As far as McCourt proving herself and saying without a shadow of a doubt that this is the biggest fight in her career, she's correct. She's correct. This is the biggest fight in her career because the last time she fought anyone with a name, specifically Sinead Kavanaugh, she lost. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe that Sinead went on to fight for the title after that. And Leah kind of looked out of her league when she was fighting Sinead, which unfortunately doesn't say a whole lot because when Sinead went in against arguably the GOAT in Cyborg, she was way out of her league too. Yeah, it is the biggest fight in her career. She definitely needs to win the fight. And I believe that whoever wins the fight, as we talked about off air, will go on to fight for the title. Will they fight Cyborg? I don't know. That's the question. Now, let's flip that and talk about Kat Zingano. Kat is, she's fighting this fight saying, yeah, I'm going to be fighting for the title. But Kat has been kind of skittish when we've asked her in the press conferences, the post-fight press conferences, and even in the cage, like, hey, you're gonna fight Cyborg, because that's the fight that we've wanted to see ever since she joined Bellator. And it's always been, well, I don't know if certain things are in place and so forth and so on. And, if, she talked about drug testing and some other things, but she's been kind of skittish where that's concerned. She could have fought she could have fought Cyborg a long time ago. I don't know why well, let me not say that. She has said some different things, which is why that fight hasn't taken place. So if that doesn't take place, the onus is on Kat. Do I love Kat? Absolutely. Is she a fantastic fighter? Yes, she is. Is her story phenomenal? Absolutely. But one thing has evaded her in her career, and that is being called champion. And to do that, she's got to fight the proper fights. And that fight would either be with Cyborg, or I could see that being against McMahon, who just joined the UFC. I mean, not UFC. She just joined Bellator after she has her debut fight.
Well, when they talked to Zingano coming up on this fight, and they asked her about that, she said that she had been told maybe 2 to 3 fights ago that she was supposed to fight Cyborg. So what are your thoughts on that? Do you feel like maybe it's a disconnect between her and her team, or maybe she really has been put off a few times?
Again, when asked about this, she has put, let me not say always, but she has put caveats in place and said, hey, I want this kind of drug testing. I want this. There's some things that I want to see happen for us to make that fight. That has nothing to do with, Bellator saying, you got the fight. Are you accepting the fight? Are the conditions the way that you want them to be for you to accept the fight? Now, I don't have a problem at all with, saying, hey, I want to see this and I want to see that. I don't have a problem with that, but you can't at the same time then say, oh, it's on Bellator. The Bellator keeps telling me I'm going to have the fight. Yeah, we know. And we also know that you keep dancing around it like it's a Mexican hat dance.
Well, we'll definitely see what happens. It's going to be a great co-main event fight. Interesting note, Zingano's 3-fight Bellator win streak at heavyweight is the second longest active streak in the division, behind Cyborg, who's currently at 5. Now, in the night's other main event, the American top team is going to be well represented when number 5 ranked heavyweight Marcelo Gom faces number 8 Daniel James, and what is likely to have title position implications. Now, the fighters are literally 11 years apart. They come into the bout both on 4-fight win streaks, looking to move up in the rankings. Now, Gom, who actually lost his last 3 bouts in UFC, has 2 submissions and 2 KOs in his last 4 in Bellator, and he's actually hoping to become world champion by the end of 2023. He actually stated he believes he's only 2 fights from making that happen, stating, I want to be champion by the end of the year, end of this year, and I will. March, and I don't know, maybe July, and then for the belt. Now, Daniel James is no slouch either. However, many kind of consider him to be a journeyman at 14-6. The one thing that you have to note here, 71% of James's wins have come by KO. Gom has only been knocked out once in his last loss, and that was to Sergey Pavlovich. So, Voyze, what are your thoughts on this bout? What are your thoughts on Gom stating that he's literally ready to be champion? And what should we be looking for in this bout where clearly Daniel James is coming in for the knockout and Gom hasn't experienced that much?
Yeah, as far as how the fight should go, this cannot be the Voyze's marquee matchup because it is a headlining bout. But if it wasn't a headlining bout, it definitely would be because of the things that you stated. Marcelo has 11 victories, I believe. And all 11, it's either 10 or 11. It's 10. 10 victories, and all 10 are by stoppage. He's either knocked them out 70% of the time, or he's choked them out. He's only like seen the second round in 40% of his fights. About 60% of the time, he's stopping it in the first round, or he's being stopped in the first round. Either way it goes, he really rarely goes to the judges. And when he does, it's not good for him. How will he look in this fight? Because this is the first 5-round fight that he's ever had. So, there's some questions to be answered there. You normally get people out of there quickly. Mm-hmm. But now you got not only a fight, but you got a potential long-term fight. Now, as far as, fighting for the title in 2023 with 2 fights, I mean, anything's possible, but the probability of that is, I don't know. He would have to get another one in, like he said, in July or so in order to do that. The champ just fought in, was it March or February, when Bellator was on CBS. So, he's done that. He's going to fight Linton Vassell next. If he doesn't fight Linton Vassell next, then I don't know what's happening. And champions usually only fight twice a year. So do I see that happening in 2023? No, I don't. Unless something happens to Linton where he's not able to fight. So yeah. Does he have another fight or so before he can fight for the title? Yeah, I think so. Does he make it through all of them? Does he make it through James is the question. That's who he really needs to be looking at, because even though James is 10 years his senior, James is no joke. He is no joke. He puts on for the shot. 92% of his wins are by stoppage, which is why I say this will be the Voyze market matchup, because the likelihood of this going to a decision is very, very low. And like Marcelo, he's fairly well rounded. 64% of them have been by strikes. The rest of it has been by submission. And here's the thing, he's talking about, I want to fight for the title. Let's not forget the last time Daniel James fought, when Bellator was in Chicago in November. Yeah, he put the brakes on Tyrell Fortune's hype train. So you got someone who knows how to put a halt to streaks. You have someone who, though not for a major promotion, has headlined for regional shows before multiple times. Marcelo's never had that. Having to carry things as far as media is concerned. All of this is new territory for him, and he really needs to be focused on the American Assassin standing across from him in the cage than to focus on anything else.
It's a great take. Now, before we move on, we talked about Gom. A win for James, where does that take him next? Because right now he's number 8. So is it 2 fights for him also, or does he have to take a different path to a title shot?
No, he definitely, either one of them definitely needs another win in order to even think about a title shot. I could see the winner of this fight either taking on former champ, or former interim champ, I should say, Valentin Moldavsky, or Steve Mowry. That I could see happening very clearly on either one of their end. Actually, one of the losses that Gom had was to Tim Johnson. So running that one back could be in the picture as well, with Johnson being ranked number 6 to Gom's number 5.
Okay, well, there you have it. Now, with Emmanuel, and I always butcher this man's name, God bless him, with Emmanuel Navarrete staying brother, I'm here. I ain't going nowhere. With him staying at 130, the vacant WBO featherweight title will officially be on the line. It won't be interim. when Ramirez will be actually facing Dogboe this Saturday. That's going to be taking place live at the Hard Rock Casino in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Now, Isaac, who has lost twice to Navarrete, was originally scheduled for a world title eliminator before agreeing to the bout with Ramirez. Now, since those back-to-back losses, he has won 4 in a row, including winning the WBO International Featherweight title. Ramirez, on the other hand, is a former gold medalist who is also focused and looking forward to a world championship opportunity. Now, he recently stated, main events, for me, the world championship is on the line. This is what I've always wanted and I have asked for since I became a professional boxer. I see this fight as the perfect stage from which to present my credentials to the world and make the case that I am the best fighter in the featherweight division. He went on to say on April 1st, I will fulfill the goal of becoming world champion, but I'm convinced that my greatest accomplishments in this sport are ahead of me. That's some clear talk from a man who feels like he's supposed to be champion. Voyze, what are your thoughts on that? And what do you think about the fact that now this is no longer an interim tag? This is literally for the championship.
I like how Ramirez is talking because to be a champion, you must first possess a champion's mindset. And he definitely has it. One thing that I really like that he said is that he is always finding ways to stay hungry. Mm-hmm. In sports, and especially in fight sports, the moment you get comfortable is when your decline sets in. So looking for new challenges and new ways to stay hungry, new things to motivate yourself is needed, and not allowing this goal. I mean, because he's not been fighting a long time. You know, he's got like 11, 12 fights. And then to be fighting for a title in that time frame, it's big, it's huge. But not allowing that to be his ceiling is even bigger. And he's going to need that kind of drive and that motivation. You know, he's talked about how he wants to break the mold regarding Cuban fighters. Cuban fighters are very technical, and it's excellent in the amateurs, but it doesn't translate well in the pros. Yeah, you can win, but nobody wants to see you fight. He said he wants to be technical and exciting, and ever since his first defeat, he knew that he had to switch things up. And his first defeat was in his debut bout. Switch things up, and he looks to bring it, which is great. He's going to need to bring it against Dogboe. Dogboe has been a champion before, as you stated, for the WBO. He was in talks to fight Mark Magsayo for WBC Eliminator, as you spoke of. And all this came about after defeating Joet Gonzalez back in July. Now, because he was the champion at 122 and is moved up to 126, generally the WBO looks favorably upon former champions and tries to get them in for a championship spot at the higher weight class as soon as possible. Having to fight the fights that he fought, that's understandable. Like you said, he had 4 fights. First one he had after his 2 battles with Navarrete. Those were very, very memorable fights. Got knocked out in his second one, had a decision in the first one. Great fights, but he lost those fights. Since then, he's gone on a win streak, knocked out the first guy, but he's had decisions, and not just decisions. I won't say contested decisions. The last one was a split decision, but the 2 before that were majority decisions. So you're winning, but you're not winning convincingly. Now you're in against, you know, this young up and comer in Ramirez. You're going to need to do more than just squeak by as you have in the past couple fights. You're going to have to bring it. You know, he's coming in as one in a line of notable Ghanaian fighters, but as of late, they haven't had a whole lot of success. So we'll see what happens in this fight, if he's able to regain glory and stop or I should say at least put the brakes on the Ramirez hype train, or will this be the crowning moment for Ramirez?
Right. You mentioned Ramirez last loss in 2019. That was a split decision loss to Aiden Gonzalez. That train has been going. He's coming into this bout on a winning streak of 11 straight fights since that loss. So it's definitely going to be a great fight. I'm happy to see that interim tag was removed. I know they were going back and forth about that because the winner would still have to go on after this bout and face the actual champion. So that's definitely great to see. Now, rounding out our weekend, if Jermaine Franklin has his way, Anthony Joshua will be retiring after their bout Saturday night at the O2 Arena in Greenwich, London. Now, this is because Joshua, a former two-time champion, recently stated that if he loses the bout, he will hang up his gloves for good. He stated, "I'll retire if I lose. I'm not here to battle people. If people want me to retire, I'll retire. I'm not going to fight if people don't want me to. It's not even about the money. It's about the competitor in you, and that's what's important." He stated, "The pressure comes with the business and it comes with the territory, and I know that. I know when I'm retired, I'm going to be chilling, and I'm going to be thinking, everyone, I'm done." Now, he stated that the chains are going to be going, and I'm going to be laughing and loving life. Now, those comments are really not something that you really want to hear at this point from a great fighter. Now, the revelation comes from Joshua, who has not won a bout since 2020, and that last bout was actually against Kubrat Pulev. Since then, Joshua has lost twice. Both of those bouts, though, were to Usyk, and they were back-to-back title fights in 2021 and 2022. Now, Jermaine Franklin, meanwhile, he literally respects the fight that Joshua has despite the losses. He stated, "Until someone can show me that AJ is finished, I will not question him. He's done too much. As a fighter, I cannot turn on him when he is an Olympic gold medal winner who reigned as a world champion for a long time. I do take points off Joshua for losing to Usyk twice because he was only a cruiserweight who moved up. But Usyk never lost. But if Usyk never loses, Joshua's stock goes up. However, if Usyk gets beat in his next fight, then it will look bad on AJ." So, Voyze, what are your thoughts on Anthony Joshua considering retirement after, I guess you can say, a tumultuous last few years, and Jermaine Franklin's comments after that?
So, AJ speaking about retiring, and even his statements of, "Hey, this is what I'm going to do," and all that. In fight sports, it's not like, baseball where, you may have a victory lap season and you go around and get surfboards in San Diego and cheesesteaks when you go to Philly and stuff like that, or like Kobe's farewell tour. Boxing doesn't do that, so when you start talking about everything you're going to do in retirement, sounds like you got a foot out the door, and you need both feet firmly planted on the canvas and your mind thoroughly in the game when you go between those ropes and step into the squared circle. So that kind of speech it's kind of telling, but it also may just be AJ's way of not just being honest, but also adding the proper level of pressure on himself, because a lot rides on this fight. Not just AJ, but Matchroom, because Matchroom put all of their fights on DAZN. And if DAZN loses AJ because he's not fighting anymore, well, that's the second fighter in about 3 to 5 years that they lost. They've survived after losing Canelo. And that's because Canelo's still been fighting on DAZN for the most part. But when he left, it was like, oh, what's going to happen? And shout out to Eddie Hearn. He was able to kind of rope Canelo back in and have him fighting on DAZN. But they just launched in the UK, and AJ just signed this great big deal with them to get people watching it, and people are still kind of like talking. I'm out here in these Twitter streets, and a lot of the boxing fans are not necessarily happy about things being on DAZN. And you lose AJ, that's huge for Matchroom. So he does have a lot weighing on him as far as this fight is concerned. And he's right. If he can't beat Jermaine Franklin, then he should. I mean, Franklin has only had, a loss or so. One loss. He lost to Dillian White last year, and that was White's bounce back fight after facing Fury. Now, he afforded himself well. It was a majority decision. It wasn't a unanimous decision, but it was a majority decision. But AJ mopped the floor with Dillian White.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I mean, everybody's putting AJ in the background, but Dillian White beat Franklin, and AJ slopped Dillian White in their bout. So
yeah, and now fight math doesn't add up. Fighter A beating fighter B doesn't mean that you'll beat fighter C, because styles make fights. But if you can't beat and soundly beat someone who your sloppy seconds got by, then that says a lot. Now, salute to Franklin. He calls himself the 989 assassin. I mean, he puts on for the 989. You know the 989. You know where that is, right?
Saginaw. I know where it is.
Okay, all right. So, I mean, but outside of Saginaw, what's in the 989? Right.
I don't want to say because we don't.
And I said outside of Saginaw, in Saginaw, what's in the 989? But hey, he puts on for his city, he puts on for his area, and I ain't mad. As the unofficial ambassador of 314 Day, rep your city, rep your area code.
Here you go.
And go ahead and do your thing. And if he were to win, this would be like the biggest win for Saginaw ever, because I don't know since Saginaw. So except a lot of minor league teams. So yeah, this would be great for them, and I know he's going to bring everything. I don't know if everything he brings though is enough. He has the right mindset, saying that until AJ's done, he's not done. I just don't know if AJ is saying the same thing.
I mean, like you said, to be talking like that, it sounds like there's 1 foot in and 1 foot out. I mean, on top of this, you have the back and forth with Fury that happened earlier this year. So, I mean, there's a lot of pressure on AJ. So I definitely understand it. I would love to see him come out with a win here and maybe, move back up into some title contention and do some great things. But the fans have been hard on him, and rightfully so if you kind of look at it. But when he
hasn't been rightfully so.
It's been rightfully so. It's been rightfully so, because he did all that dominating, and people kept saying, I don't know, he might have a glass jaw. He might have a glass jaw. You saw what happened with Andy Ruiz, even though he did come back and avenge that loss. But 2 straight losses,
to possibly the greatest heavyweight that's ever fought. We just have to see him.
We can't determine that yet.
Yeah, I said possibly. We have to let him continue to go on, and it doesn't look like he'll be fighting Greedy Belly anytime soon. But let him knock off some of these other UK up and comers. Yeah, it'll be the story still needs to be written, like Franklin said about Usyk, but his track record and the things that he's done so far put him on the right trajectory to have a legendary career.
Well, let's hope the 989 assassin don't get mollywopped like Dillian White did when he got in the ring with AJ. So we'll definitely see what happens there. But that is literally your combat sports weekend in under 40 minutes. We did it under 40 minutes. Now, it's MTMV Sports. We're literally fans just like you. We do the research. We go to the events. We love everything just like you. We're just individuals who want to share our love for our favorite sports. Make sure that you like, share, and subscribe to us. Also, make sure that you subscribe to us on Spotify, Apple Music, or wherever you get your podcasts, because we're there. You can hear the voice If you want, I know you're only here to hear me, and it's fine. He's fine with that. He has his own T-shirt, so he doesn't care either way. Now, Voyze, I know you wanted to provide us with a last word on a bout that was literally announced today.
Yeah. So we finally have the bout that's been bandied about, pardon the pun, ever since the man left Eddie Hearn and went to Top Rank, took a deal that was not as favorable because he wanted these kind of opportunities. He became the undisputed champion at 135. That weight class we were talking about with Tank and Ryan, kind of fighting that or fighting around. Yeah, he's the man. He's the undisputed champion, Devin Haney, and he'll be fighting the former pound for pound great in Vasily Lomachenko, who's only lost to Teofimo Lopez, though time seems to be catching up with him. He's still a formidable foe, and I can't wait for it. May 20th cannot get here soon enough. I'm really interested in seeing things. We talked about Tank, we talked about Ryan, we talked about Teofimo Lopez, and outside of Tank, most of these people will be plying their trade at 140 and above in fairly short order, including Haney, because last fight he had, that boy looked like Skeletor on weigh-in day. It's like, you don't look good. It's like, you are not long for this division. So seeing him in possibly his last fight at 135, taking on one of the greats at 135 is wonderful. Something else that I'm interested in seeing as well is that being a devout Muslim, he's doing this soon after Ramadan is done. Will that help him with the whole weight aspect? Does it hurt him because he's losing muscle while he's fasting? Those are some questions that we're going to have to keep in mind as the fight goes on. And then for Loma, he took a while off to go fight in Ukraine. I mean, like literally fight, guns a-blazing fight. And time is getting on. Will this be his last hurrah? Will he be able to gain the championship again and ride off into the sunset as the vaunted fighter? I'm excited.
Definitely, that promo video that they put is great, but it's kind of disrespectful if you get a chance to see it. It's a bunch of chess pieces, and it's got the names of the fighters that they beat, and they're knocking them out essentially. It's titled Checkmate. So if you get a chance to see that on YouTube, it's a great precursor to a great fight.
You still salty because of Roy Jones' song. I mean, if you get beat, you get beaten, and whatever somebody says about it, it is what it is. Now, should we share the truth and love? Yes, but I don't know. It's the truth.
I'm not about to sit up here and sing "Y'all Must Have Forgot," so I'm not even worried about that. You can say what you want to say, but what he did to Bernard Hopkins, I will never forget as a Philadelphia native, and it will not go unpunished. Okay, so I'm not worried about that. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in with us for another main card. You already know Smoke the Clock is when we're here each and every Tuesday, 7:15 Eastern Standard Time. Make sure you visit our website, MTMVPN. Get you some merch. Check out some of the articles. Make sure you check out some of our teammates because we got some great things coming to you. Voyze, give us your final thoughts as the sun or the light bounces off your head and we get the Bruce Leroy glow as we go out.
Just a quick aside, I was at work today and I work from home speaking with one of my charges, and I spoke about how the light above my head is, just a little sliver of the sun that I've been able to capture and use in my office, and how you always talking about the light shining off my head and it being a halo. So way to stick to the script, sir. Something else that's sticking to the script is PFL. They kick off their season this weekend, and they got some low-key bangers going on. You got champion of last season, 2 champs from last season. Brendan Loughnane is facing former WSOF champ. WSOF was the company before they rebranded to PFL. So former champ Marlon Moraes fighting. You also have Rob Wilkinson, who won at 205 last year, taking on Thiago Santos, the only man to ever take a scorecard from John Jones. So, you got that going on. Impa Kasanganai makes his debut. You got a rematch between Chris Wade and Bubba Jenkins. You got some nice stuff going on there in the PFL. So definitely keep your eyes out for that as well, fight fans.
Awesome. Make sure you all follow The Voice at The Voice on Twitter. He's going to be giving you feedback on all the great fights this weekend. Voice, go ahead and give us your final word, sir. Take us out.
Until we meet again, fight the good fight.